Yeah, so Xbox Live people, since it started off since Friday afternoon, people were not able to connect online through the Xbox.
Okay.
They weren't able to make purchases. They weren't able to access their downloads and purchases. They were allowed to play pretty much any games.
So now they had a shutdown, but now in an advanced world where you don't own a game, you license the game.
Exactly. And they couldn't do a damn thing. Xbox was having issues trying to say, yes, we finally fixed the issue. Yes, we finally fixed the issue. They kept tweeting the same thing, and nothing was fixed.
Oh,
so
see, I've seen it trending on Twitter.
Because they kept tweeting saying, yes, we finally fixed the issue. We finally fixed the issue. But they never did.
But see, here's where I come in. This is why I didn't think none of it, because when a company does that, Facebook does it from time to time, Twitter does. We went on Twitter to check if Facebook went down. We don't go on Facebook to check if Twitter is down. Mm-hmm. Haven't you noticed that? So it's like when we see something go on the web and we want to know if it's down, we see it. And if it says, "Oh, it's up," all right, it's up. We already know it's up. But when I see with the Xbox, it says, "All right, we fixed the issue," I'm like, "Oh, that's no problem."
Oh, let me. Yeah,
but it was not. Fixed.
It was not fixed, and it was not fixed until 12:30 a.m. Sunday.
Oh my God! Did they say a reason why?
Nope. This is why people were pissed off, and they would say it's. Remember in the beginning of the Xbox One Life with the whole DRM issue?
Yeah.
This kind of brought back that issue. It's like, okay, so I can't access any games that I have bought online because it's through online. And it's like,
shame on us. Shame on us.
This is why
shame on us.
You do understand why I have a scary feeling about digital? Because things like this, if I was an Xbox person and have games on Xbox and I could not access this for a whole 2 days.
You're right, because here's the thing.
That's an issue.
I get physical copies of games, right?
I always get physical copies.
And the only inconvenience I have with that is I have to switch the game if I want to remote play. If I'm stuck and I want to play another game, but it's physical copy and I can't remote play because I need the physical disc in there, that's why I would go with digital. Most of the time, it's going to happen, and it's going to be fine until that happens.
Exactly. When
and we
like
feared
this happens.
We feared this with Xbox.
Exactly. It's
when the Xbox One came out, and the first thing was always on internet connectivity. So any game needed to be authenticated. So if you didn't have online, you weren't playing the games. That was proposed. Xbox One got dogged on, peed on, dragged on, stomped on.
Exactly. Remember that?
Broken on. Like, it was bad. It was so bad that PS4 led the way and converted all Xbox back to PlayStation. Because PlayStation 2.
Remember that thing they did? It's like how to share your your PlayStation games. Here you go.
That's it. Yep.
That was so funny.
Let me do an easy breakdown for the TikTok family that's watching live and those that are watching live right now in this podcast in this episode. Let me give you a breakdown. PS2, PS1, pop in. It was great. It was cool. But mainly it was the PS2 that gathered everybody.
Oh yeah, it's still one of the number one selling systems of all time.
Of all time.
All time.
You could sit here and argue with Nintendo and whatnot, but no, PS2 system of all time. So all the PS2, and then we heard Microsoft was getting into the realm with the game. We're like, what? That's an American company. That's stupid. And then they executed well. Big ass box, big ass controller. Fine, it was weird, but I loved it. But they had Xbox Live, an official, finally working online gaming. So they were playing, and it was still kind of a PS2 was still popping. Like
still PS2 was still Xbox for me. I like the Xbox games and stuff, but PS2 will always be my love.
This is how it changed, in my opinion. I think I speak for every gamer that got a PlayStation or an Xbox console. Excuse me. PlayStation 3 came out with a terrible price point.
Terrible price point. It was hard to make games on it. The games that they had was awful. The launch titles were pretty bad.
And the Xbox 360 came out moderately priced, a sequel, and most games you get from the PlayStation you can play on the Xbox. All the fans from the PlayStation 2 and 3 era said, nope, I'm going to 360. And then 360 was popping.
And then the PS3 finally caught up.
Finally, out of 2-3
and
years after.
it took a while, but they finally caught up. But yeah, at that start, Xbox 360 was
popping. Then it was moving.
It even made me buy the system.
Yes.
And I'm not an Xbox person like that. It made me buy a system. Because they had some games that, Sony for some reason didn't want to get. And I had to
Sony was so bad in a bad situation that even developers was like, you know what, I need to make monies, and Xbox is so
let's do some exclusives.
Let's do some exclusives with Xbox until you guys can figure it out. Then I can go.
So
back.
I got some I was like, okay, made me want to buy it. You see, when Xbox has something that I want to buy, I'll buy it.
Yeah. So when that happened, all that fan base was happening, and then they said, okay, the PlayStation 4 was coming out, and then the Xbox 360 sequel was the Xbox One, and then the Xbox One did the most dirtiest, stupidest thing ever. DRM, which is meaning is digital rights management, and what that literally is we need to make sure you're playing authentic games by internet connectivity through your system to make sure that game is authenticated, that you actually bought it, either digital or physical.
And don't forget, no used games.
Yep.
You could not play used.
Always got to be new. So you already cut off the GameStop customers already getting used games that are for cheap.
Or people borrowing from their friends.
Or people that borrow from their friends. But they said no. So when that announced it, PlayStation 4, all the fan base from the Xbox 360, the Xbox One hopped right back on the PlayStation, because then they started making those commercials where it's like, hey, how do you share games to PlayStation 4? Oh, yeah. That's it. It's here. Here's the game. This is the tutorial of how to share your PlayStation 4 games. This concludes our tutorial.
Exactly.
That was
literally.
It. That was it.
That
was fantastic marketing. So that was great.
But yeah, so they did that.
So when that happened, right? Now we didn't think how bad that could be. Well, we knew it was bad, and they scrapped it. But the bad taste was there. Now we're sitting here, right, with the new future. We're getting real comfortable with digital. The marketplace is changing. Gaming world is changing. Everything's mainly digital now. Even I am seeing more convenience in a digital world. And apparently last weekend brought that ugly year. And now people are getting pissed and realizing that digital is probably not the way, because these things can happen.
Exactly. It's like how you
pay for all your games.
You pay for something and then you lose access to it.
Digital should be cheaper for them to get away with such stupidity, because one person can trip over that wire, my friend, or power outage, or whatever the case it may be. That's why digital copies should be relatively cheaper than a physical, because then you're paying for the convenience of knowing that you own it, for one, and two, you're paying a premium to own it, and you have it even if online is damaging. Now, those that say, well, nowadays every game's online, so if you don't have online, you can't really play the game. Not necessarily. Most games tend to have a solo campaign, or you could grind on a solo, and when the internet comes back on, you can come right back in updates. So
now,
it's like,
I want to also say something too that I forgot to mention, but it was also like so funny that they did this. When it was happening, the issue, they fixed one issue. You was able to buy games, but you just couldn't play them.
So you could have bought the game and not play it.
Exactly. They fixed the buying situation. I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. So the first thing they fixed was, we have to make sure you buy the stuff. You can't play it yet, but we want to make sure you buy it.
Oh god, that, you know what? Now I'm gonna be looking at it like, oh look, we have a maintenance on. Now I'm gonna be looking at it a little bit better, apparently, because I didn't think none of it. I see so many times.
Like I said, they kept just posting saying we'll fix it, we're guaranteed we can fix it, we fix the problem, and they never did until Sunday at 1:30
with no explanation.
No explanation.
Oh my god, well that's funny. Well, I'm glad you included that, because I didn't really think none of it.
Yeah, I thought you would know about all that.
No, again, Xbox not down. It happens. You know, it happens once, or maybe.
But not for 2 days.
Not for 2 days with no explanation. At least Sony, they hit you with the explanation from time to time, and developers will give you the reasons why they're doing maintenance, like Bungie. They do that with Destiny. You know,